Today is Wednesday, June 19th, 2026. I am the interviewer, Amy Moritz, with Stephanie Romain Nadler at the Julia Reinstein Library in Cheektowaga, New York. Stephanie was a member of the Niagara Purple Eagles women's ice hockey program from 1998 to 2002, part of the university's inaugural Division I team. During her senior season in 2001-02, Steph was part of an historic Purple Eagles team that captured the ECAC regular season title and advanced to the program's first NCAA tournament appearance and Frozen Four. Niagara finished the year 26, 8-2, and was ranked as high as number 2 in the country. Now, she currently serves as the Nichols School Girls Prep Hockey Team. I could not get that out of my mouth for some reason.
I don't blame you.
Steph, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me.
Thanks for having me. It's so nice to see you.
Absolutely love you and loved covering. So full disclosure, right? I covered your entire hockey career at Niagara for the Buffalo News, and that year, that Frozen Four year.
We sure appreciated it.
But before we get to talking about that, tell me about a time you first remember falling in love with sports.
Falling in love with sports. I've always loved sports. I think I have an older brother. I can't remember ever a time not playing something in the neighborhood with the neighborhood kids. It didn't matter what it was. It was football, soccer, hockey. My mom tells a story of my brother's friends coming to the house to fetch my brother to go play, I don't know, touch football outside or tackle football, and my brother wasn't home. And so they would, well, is Steph here? You know, so I would just go out and play with the boys, and it was just a lot of fun, whether it was street hockey or kick the can or soccer baseball or whatever we played. It was just, there was always something. So just love it.
And then when did hockey capture, or you grew up in Quebec, right?
Correct.
So our vision is of the hockey's in every backyard.
Right.
So, but tell me about
It pretty
hockey.
much was, yeah. Grew up, when my dad grew up, it was Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs. So I grew up a Montreal Canadian fan. Every Saturday night, you watched Hockey Night in Canada. Hockey was just something I don't remember ever not playing. My dad built an outdoor rink next to our house. I have memories of lacing my skates in the entryway of our house and skating just right next to the house onto the rink. Get home from school, straight to the hockey rink. I remember my dad picking us up the stairs, and we'd eat dinner and go right back out again. And my dad would be the one who'd make the rink, and all the neighborhood kids would be on it. And adults, we would just throw sticks in the middle, and you're on this team, you're on that team, and we'd just play all different ages. And I think when you're just playing that style of hockey, you get good at it, and it's fun, and you're just playing with different age levels, and I was just that was really when my love of the game started. I don't think I realized I loved it, but it's all I ever wanted to do.
And then when did organized hockey kind of come into your world? What opportunities were there for you?
Yeah, girls didn't play hockey then. There were no girls teams that I knew of in my area. I just played for fun then, and then I remember my first memory of it is I remember it sort of being in the fall, school starting, and that's kind of when tryouts were. And my brother was going to a tryout, and I was always the kid who would just be at my younger brother and I would always just be at the rink. We were rink rats, running the bleachers behind and just playing tag and watching a bit of the game. And my dad asked me, do you want to play? I thought, well, can I play? He said, yeah, well, there's a tryout tonight. Do you want to go? I said, sure, I'd love to. And so my memory of it is just, I think I wore a lot of my brother's equipment. To be honest, wouldn't have had my own. And went to the tryout, and I remember coming back saying I just wanted to do that. I just loved putting on the shoulder pads and the pants, because when you play on the outdoor rink, you don't wear equipment. So it was great. I loved it, and so my parents signed me up. I think I was the only girl that played for years in Elmer. We had a couple other girls that also went on to play college hockey also, but. I played with boys until played up till the age of 16. But I played with girls also when I was 13 later on 2 teams, but played with the boys, and it was just great. Loved it.
What was it like playing with the boys? Were they accepting? Were the parents accepting? What was that experience like?
I think when I was 7 years old, so I remember hanging out with my teammates at their houses and in between games and them accepting me, but I would say, like, but you look back on it, I think the older I got, I would maybe not change with them anymore in the locker room because, they're starting to shower and starting to do things like that. I remember them being very accepting, but I guess I didn't realize how much fun it could also be in the locker room until I joined a girls hockey team, because it just is different. You talk about different things, and girls are silly, and we dance and we sing, and it's just a different vibe. It just is. And so I think that's kind of, I would never say I was treated poorly. I was always accepted and included. I guess it didn't hurt that I was a better player also, so you're accepted right away if you can hang. But yeah, I guess I always felt included. It's just that the older you get, the more the physicality. I remember being 14 and one of the players on another team cross-checked me at the face-off, and a bench clearing brawl happened because my teammates were defending me, on the ice. And I remember my dad in the bleachers, sit down. So I sat on the bench while they were fighting, and the coaches were throwing players off of each other. And I got, these boys now have little mustaches and growing beards. Maybe it's, much more. I'm not as strong as them, but I could hang at the level-wise, but it got stronger. It's full checking, all the things. So
yeah, and those things had changed, especially when you're growing
puberty
up,
years,
right?
correct.
Yeah, those puberty years.
Yeah.
You mentioned like the all-girls team and the difference in the locker room. How did that help your skill development too? Like, how was that on the ice? Maybe a little bit different for you.
I think most of the girls I played with when I started girls. Most of us played boys. We came over from boys hockey because it was a top level. It was when I was 15, I'd discovered that there was a girls team, a AA girls team in Ottawa, which is 20 minutes from where I grew up. So I tried out for the team, and the girls that were trying out for the team lived sometimes an hour and a half away from Ottawa. And so there were probably about 80 girls at this tryout. And I remember back then you would go into the referee's room with the coach, and they would tell you if you made the team or not. And I remember being really nervous about making it. And the coach, his name was Bill Bowker, wonderful, excellent coach. And he developed us. He treated us just like the guys. We respected him, meaning like he didn't take it easy on us. We were tough. We had tough practices. We trained with steel pucks a lot of the times, and to get that strength, we were doing the circles and things. But it was just really fun. Like, I think that's one of the best things about sports. It's the friendships that you make and those memories. Those are the things you remember. Those times in the locker room or traveling to tournaments and just being silly with your friends, and then also the competitiveness and battling. That's also a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Too, but that's what. If you take anything from the game or any sport, that's really the best part of any sport. So,
when did the idea of playing Division I college hockey or playing college hockey in the States first come on your radar?
Right. When I was about 11 years old, my dad, I had hockey, I think at Carleton University for, I don't know what it was for, but I just remember being in the car with my dad, and there was a woman there with a Cornell University jacket. And so my dad, of course, talks to everyone, and he introduced himself. Hey, Cornell University, women's hockey. You have women's hockey there? And I was young, and she explained that yes, we have a girls team, and they go to school, and they get to play hockey 5 days a week, and for the university. And I remember driving home with my dad thinking, that's what I want to do. I didn't know what it entailed, but that's what I wanted to do. And then in 1990, my mom and dad, the first world championships for women's hockey was in Ottawa in 1990, and Team Canada wore pink jerseys, white pants, and my dad got tickets for he and I to attend the final. And Team Canada beat the U.S. That game, and Margot was on the team actually that year, and I was in awe at seeing these other women. I had a role model to look up to, and watching that game, thinking, oh my gosh. So aspiring to that. Now we had something else to aspire to besides maybe going to a university and playing. And that was sort of life-changing too. So I would have been about 12 years old then. Just all these little life events that said, okay, hockey is just if there was anything that made me happy, it was just being on the ice and playing. Absolutely love it.
When you look back on it now and you see your 12-year-old self getting to see that first Women's World Championship and all of that, how important is it for that 12-year-old Steph to have been able to see that and so then currently now for girls to be able to see things like that?
So it's huge. I mean, my role models were NHLers. I loved Wayne Gretzky. I wore number 19 because Steve Yzerman. He was my favorite player, and great. And I love that we had that also. And I didn't know any different. It's just who And then when you'd go to these events, you see the women. And so I can honestly say, 20 years later, 30 years later, that's always parked in the back of my mind that, even my time at Niagara, if any young girl would come to our games, you make sure that you introduce yourself and say hi and ask them how they're doing and ask them where they play. And, I love growing the sport. I'm passionate about it. It's just so fun for these young girls and to have female role models, and you see them wearing Skamura's jersey now, and you see them wearing, it's really neat. And you watch these stadiums filled, sold out crowd to these PWHL games. It's amazing to see in the NCAA, and we're getting more coverage on television. It's just wonderful.
It's such an evolution that it's been. Before that evolution, though, we go back to your freshman year. So actually, though, I don't know if you were a junior or senior in high school, or were you still grade 13?
I grew up in Quebec, so we graduated grade 11, and then we go to CEGEP, which is like a pre-university. So that was right around that time when I went over to Ottawa to play on that girls team, we were sort of the top team in the Ottawa area. And so a lot of our tournaments would be in Toronto. We'd go sometimes to Montreal, but often, and we'd play teams that were the same level of us. And that was my first time also seeing other females at a high level and competing with that also. And then when we would go to these tournaments or provincials or the Canada Games, I was with Team Quebec for a little while with them, you get to see this higher level, and then there would be scouts at the games. But I mean, it was different then. Now there's a lot of different teams, and then they would introduce themselves to us after the game and things like that. And then you would get a phone call. You wouldn't know who was calling you. We didn't have cell phones or text. And so, you'd get a call, and that's sort of things were just starting to fall in place. And I went on some official visits and things like that. And then Margot reached out to me. I was, I think, 19. So I was out of high school at the time in CEGEP, really hoping to play college hockey, but I was leaning towards St. Lawrence or UNH at the time. And Margot reached out to me, and she said that she was with Niagara University. I'd met her, and I knew who Margot was. She's a pioneer of the sport, and it was just great talking to her. I love that she was a female. I love that she, was starting this new program, and it's a Niagara University, like Niagara Falls. She says, we're going to have a Division I hockey program. It's a brand new program. You would be all freshmen coming in, and we want to win a national championship in 4 years. And I would love for you to be a part of it. And I'd love for you to come in as a leader and lead us to a national championship. And so my wheels started turning I really like that. I do want to be part of that. And went out to see the university, and I was sold. To small school. It didn't have all the bells and whistles yet. Like you go to UNH and they've got their locker room with their logo. We didn't have that yet my freshman year. It was coming. We had the rink and all that. But it was the right decision. It was a wonderful experience for me, and it was the right choice. Sometimes you just know.
Yeah. And it sounds like that. I was going to ask what her sales pitch was, but it sounds like it really struck with you to be part of something to build, as opposed to go into something at a St. Lawrence or UNH, which was already more established.
Absolutely. And we were on the same page, and it sounds like, and looking back on it too, when I hear Margot talking to, former teammates, we were all on the same page with that from the very beginning, just Margot, said the same thing to everyone else. We all had sort of the same focus. We all had the same type of personality. You know what I mean? And I think that also led to success. It's not just always talent. It's the people you bring in and the character of the people. We were a really great group of freshmen that came in.
What was it like to play for Margot? And was Margot the first female head coach you played for?
She was. I had never had a female coach before. I didn't know any different. I had great coaches, great male coaches. But Margot was my first female coach. I loved it. We look, you see it in different. She experienced a lot of the same things that we experienced. and Margot was a great coach. To this day, I still sometimes have dreams of being on the bench at Niagara University, and this is 20 years later, and Margot's on the bench, and I'm with my teammates. It's funny, it's just strange. Years later, I guess it was just a big part of my life. Yeah. So yeah.
And what was that as you were coming in? Like you mentioned, you're all on the same page. What was the culture like that she was building, and that you also were building? Because it sounds like you guys had a lot of ownership too as a freshman group.
I mean, we were all learning. If you think about it, everything was new. It was new for Margot and the coaching staff also. We were all freshmen going in, and I was a captain a freshman year also, and that was a bit of a challenge only because we're all the same age, and we don't know any different, and so you just lead by example and always doing the right thing and all that stuff. But I think back on even team meals. We ate the same thing before every game. It's just what you did. We'd have chicken with pasta with red sauce. Sometimes we'd have it for breakfast if we had a 2 p.m. game at 10 a.m. For years I didn't want to eat red sauce. And then bagels from our dining hall. The smell of it came in a garbage bag, and we'd load the bus with them because you needed your good food. And we had great stuff also, but it was very regimented. And then you just kind of learn as you go. And then I remember junior, senior, we would go out and we could order a steak and baked potato. And freshman year, we'd have study hall once, and which made sense. We were all freshmen, and so we were in a classroom, I want to say maybe once or twice a week at 8 p.m. with Brother Steve, who would often fall asleep, but we'd be passing notes and just getting our work done. And but no, it was great, and we didn't have our own locker room our freshman year either. We kept our things in there, but it wasn't until our sophomore year where we had the medical room in the building. We had a lounge. It was just little by little, it just kind of got better and better. But freshman year, I remember when we all went in there, we got, we're getting sticks. Like, we don't have to pay for these. We kind of knew that was the way it would work, but we were just all so thankful and appreciative of everything.
Yeah.
So
I want to ask you about the men's hockey team had been established there, D1, I don't know how many years now.
I want to say it was 2 years before us.
Okay, it wasn't that much before,
no.
Right? Okay. How was their relationship wise, and did you guys end up comparing, yourselves at all to what they got, or how did any of that?
No, not really. I don't. At least I don't have a memory of that. Right. It was all new and exciting. I remember young girls coming to our games and us signing autographs afterwards. I remember our first game ever. We played Boston College in-house, and I remember at our rink, and I remember it was a full house. It was sold out, and I remember Reedy scoring in overtime. Barb laid a good hit there at center ice, and Rita went down and scored. And I remember, there's a video of it. There's the glass shaking back and forth, and our classmates, there at the game, and I'm sure that the guys were there too. And we actually spent a lot of time with the guys team off ice too. We spent a lot of time together doing volunteer service, or even just hanging out socially, outside the rink.
Yeah. So let's fast forward to your senior year. That season, what was it like going in? What was the attitude or the mentality going into that season?
Yeah. Well, our team just got better and better, and I think that's what's with the development of a program, is every year new players come in, and that sort of thing. And I remember being really excited. We got some young talent coming in. Teresa Del Monte was joining us that year. She was a goal scorer. We were a strong team, and we were a close team, and we didn't have a great junior season, but we all came in sort of just ready to put the work in, and we wanted to be successful. And I don't know if it was, I don't know what it was, but you just kind of came in, and it was a big year for us. And I believe our saying that year was leave a legacy. So, we put it on T-shirts, and it was something we would talk about a lot, because we were losing a big group of seniors. This was going to be our last year, and we took a lot of pride in playing at NU, and we wanted to leave a legacy there.
Was there a point in the season where you felt you had something special?
I think we just started, winning, and what led to the winning, I don't know. I think, I know even for me personally, I think when you think about success, yes, talent is a big piece. In my opinion, Tanya Pinelli was the best goaltender in all of Division I hockey. Outstanding goaltender. We had top goal scorers. For me personally, I had a different role that season. And I think when you think back on it, it's not only me. A lot of us had different roles that season. In other words, I got recruited, yes, as a leader, but I was a top goal scorer in the league going into NU. So scoring was part of the player that I was. And that year I didn't score many goals, but I had a different role. Myself and my line mates, I remember one game in particular, we were playing Harvard, and it was a really, really big game, I think, for us to clinch the ECAC regular season. I'm not sure what it was, but I remember Margot and Katie pulling myself and my line, before the game and talking to us and say, we were playing against Julie Chu, we were playing against some Olympians, and our role was to stop them from scoring. And so success doesn't always just come from scoring, and it does, absolutely, and I'm thankful for that, because what I'm saying is you need a lot of different parts, and everyone has a role, and even to the point of we had girls that were regular players in the lineup the year previous, and that senior season they weren't getting much playing time, but yet they would come to every game, and do we need anything, and they were not slumped, they were always positive and putting the workouts in, and that's hard, it's difficult, but everybody bought in. Everybody had a different role on the team, and I think that definitely led to the success and great leadership. We had great leadership in the locker room, not just from the captains, but from the whole team. Being a captain that season, I was co-captain with Barbara Prawl. I believe it was Valerie Hall and Allison Kumi. Great leadership from the captains, but just the whole team just bought in. It wasn't difficult being a captain that season, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And it sounds like a very, even though you had younger players coming in, particularly, that's like a very mature group to be able to be like, well, this is not my role, but I'm still bought in, because that can be really difficult when your role changes.
Right. And I think it helps a coach out when the coach can just kind of take a step back and say, hey, our leaders, seniors, juniors, whatever, are kind of taking care of this, and even the team built stuff. I remember we went on a camping trip, all of us together before the season started. It was fun. It was great. It's things like that off the ice are also so important. But, and now being a coach, you see also the way a team is built. I mean, our team, if you think about it, being, building from the net out, Pinelli, I remember our freshman year, I want to say maybe it was sophomore year, we played Dartmouth, and I believe we were outshot 61-8, something ridiculous like that. But we fought, we didn't stop. And Pinelli had a shutout. We won 1-0. So it's not that we weren't fighting outside the net, but man, was she keeping that puck out. So it was, it was a really great senior season for us, definitely.
When you were ranked second in the nation, what did that mean? Did that mean anything to you guys at that time? Do you remember that at all?
Definitely, we were proud of that.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely, it's kind of surreal, because I appreciate you, Amy, because a lot of times women's hockey or women's sports don't get a lot of press. And I don't know if it's because the Sabres weren't doing very well that season or the Bills, but we were often on the front page of the Buffalo News, and there were articles about us after every game, which was really cool. And I'm sure my parents have every clipping of it, which is great. But I remember we had these young girls that would come to our games, and all of a sudden, more people were showing up at our games, and they were aware that we were doing well. And this is kind of a funny story, but I was at a Sabres game with both of my brothers during the season that year, and I was in the downstairs. We were about to hop on the escalator, and this young boy approached me, and he said, "Excuse me, are you Stephanie Romain, the captain of the Niagara women's hockey team?" I said, "Yeah, I am," with my brothers. And he said, "Will you sign my hockey stick? I come to your games," and so we went up the escalator. That happens all the time, which is so not true. But how cool is that a young boy, not a young girl even, it's a young boy, and he knew who we were and knew that we were being successful, and I thought that was really cool, and it was really fun. Bragging rights with my brothers, right? Because I was just...
Well, that's, for that. And I think that's so powerful, because so often, and it is important for, I think, for girls to have those role models but also when little boys can see women succeeding and follow them.
Yeah, and what's great, it's not even man-woman, it's hockey. You know, it's just, we're just hockey players. If you love the game, it's, you know, our games are, you know, the sport is a little different on the men's and women's side, of course, but it's still the same. It's hockey, you know, and if you love hockey, it's really fun to watch and follow. So, yeah.
So going into postseason that year, I think this will be my last question for you about that, or, you know, that Niagara experience, but you lost in the conference tournament.
I think it was to Providence.
I
remember it was at University of Connecticut, but I remember losing in overtime.
Yeah.
Right.
So at that time, just to remind people, right, it was only the second year, I believe, of the Frozen Four for women. There were only 4 teams that made it. So that was the field, was 4 teams, the Frozen Four, and there were no automatic bids.
Okay.
So it was all at large, the Players Lounge at Niagara, there was not a selection show on ESPN. It was, I think, dial-up computer waiting for the announcement. What do you remember about that?
I think it was St. Patrick's Day. It was in March, and a lot of us were just together, knowing that we were just waiting for this to happen and to be there for it. So I just remember, it was going to be announced at 7:00. I don't even know who announced it. I just remember standing at a computer, probably dial up, you know, and we all just hovered around there, and the coaches were there and the trainers were there. You were there. Really exciting. And we were just, I don't know, we were confident. We were confident we were going to make it, but there's always that doubt because we're still a new program, and all year, in all 4 years, we always had to prove ourselves. But we took pride in that. To be honest with you, that was just something we loved, being the underdog and always having to prove ourselves. But yeah, when they announced our name, we just all sort of looked at each other, and it's like we had won a national championship right then and there. You know, we just jumped up and down, you know, and I think there are some pictures and some videos that are still out there. And really, really exciting. It was deserved. We deserved it. And I think it was just more of a relief and excitement. And, you know, you put the work in and you see the results. It's a perfect example.
Yeah. And then what was that experience like at the Frozen Four?
Oh, it was phenomenal. We went to the Pat Casimir Award show. We had a banquet the first night we arrived. The school had a little pep rally for us before we left. Just really exciting. I remember being there, and we got jackets, and we got maybe some T-shirts. It was televised. That was exciting. We had a pregame skate. We had media conferences, you know, before the games. I remember on the Friday night going into the media room with the captain or one of the players in Minnesota. She was probably 6'4". She was just like, okay, all right. We were playing Minnesota, Duluth, and Brown. It was the 4 of us, and it was a great experience. We were so proud to represent, you know, Niagara and put Niagara on the map for women's hockey. But it's interesting. You know, it was 2002. We lost that first game, unfortunately, to Minnesota. We fought. It was a great game, and so we played against Minnesota Duluth in that first game. Minnesota in the consolation game. You know, and we talk about those roles again because, you know, Jen Goulet, one of my line mates, scored on a breakaway. I don't even know what the score was. I don't know if she tied it. She must have. I think we were down 2-0. She made it 2-1, probably in that third period. And then we scored again with a minute and a half left. We popped the rebound in there, and we tied. And we thought we were going to go into overtime because that's just what you're at the national championship. And the game ended. We didn't go into overtime. We had to share the third place. I remember the feeling of, you know, maybe it's because of the way we tied the game with less than 2 minutes left. For us, for the senior class especially, Barb and Al and Brooke and Reedy and Jody and Pin, we went into that weekend, we were so excited to be there also because it meant that we got to be together even longer. Our season got to be extended. We weren't ready to say goodbye yet. We weren't ready to be done yet. So, that's also what made the weekend so special. And we got to play, in these 2 games at the national championship, which is what we sought out to do when we came close. And so for us, I remember Minnesota. I think there's a photo of it, and you could see the Minnesota players just standing along their bench, just almost like they had lost in the morning, and we're pumping our fists. Like we had won the national championship, and it's funny. They went home with the 3rd place trophy. Ours had to be mailed to us, a couple of weeks later. We got rings. It was just really, really, really fun, and that was it, and it was just great.
Yeah.
So, yep.
And at that time, there really wasn't a place to play. I mean, not really to play afterwards.
No, I mean, and that was it. Yeah, I mean, so after the Frozen Four, I want to say we went, to clear out our stalls and things like that. And I'm assuming, yes, Margot had put them there. But we, many of us had letters. Probably all of us, our senior class, had letters in our stalls from the NWHL, being invited to to their tryouts. So I know I had a letter in my stall. It was from the Mississauga Ice Bears inviting me to come out. They were very interested in me playing for their professional women's hockey team. And a bunch of us went to different tryouts, to different teams. I made the team, but I only lasted 2 months because I just, what happened with the way things were then is that you only made about $600 a month. So you had a career, you had a job, and you were trying to balance that with playing professional hockey. We were, flying to Calgary on a weekend, or driving to Montreal, and things like that. It was very difficult thing to do. So I ended up going back into NU and getting my master's actually at Niagara and helping in the athletic office after college. So, but yeah, Niagara was absolutely special. I mean, our parents, even 24 years later, we still get together, and we still we've been at each other's weddings, and life events have happened where we've lost close family members, and we show up for each other, and it's been it's really, really, it was just a special time, those years. But as far as after Niagara, I mean, several of us played pro, but it's not like it is now. But it's we love that we were pioneers of it, and I love the way the game has grown.
Yeah. And the game certainly has grown, and you've had a front row seat and been part of a lot of that. I know that you got married and life took you overseas in a lot of different places, but when did coaching get on your radar, something that you might want to do?
Right. I think coaching's just always been on my radar. I mean, even when I was a teenager, I was helping with teams, the younger teams, even boys groups. I just always loved being on the ice. My degree is in teaching. I'm also a teacher. So I think some of that also goes in hand. So coaching is you get to teach what you love. And so even when I was in college and I would go home for the summer, I would run hockey clinics for girls. There was nothing like that in our area. And so I provided that to girls, in the Gatineau-Outaouais region for the girls then. So I was always involved in it. There was always a time I was involved in coaching. I met my husband at NU. We've been married 23 years, and he was an ROTC at the time. Would come to our games. He did the color guard on the ice, so during the game, and we have a lot of funny stories of that. But yeah, and so we were married a few years after attending NU. But he was in it was after 9/11. John enlisted in 2003. So we went to Fort Drum, New York. We've lived in England. We've lived in Germany. We lived in North Carolina. But I've always been involved in the game and have coached everywhere I've gone. I still continued running coaches clinics. It's something that I contemplated even at the beginning and right after graduating is going to coaching, because it's just something I always wanted to do. But it's difficult. I hate to say this, but I do think it's a little more difficult for women. Women have done it. Digit Murphy is a perfect example of raising children and coaching at a higher level. But you do sacrifice a lot, and what you sacrifice is time with your spouse or time with your children. And I don't think I was ready to do that. I I don't know if it's because I've lost really close. I lost a brother at a young age and lost a dad and my dad. And you look at things and you realize how precious time is, and you can't get time back. And so I sort of put coaching aside for a little while, and I've enjoyed I have a great life. My husband's wonderful. My best friend and our kids are great also, and we've gotten to experience so many good things. But I've always been involved, and now it's kind of come full circle. And my husband retired from the military last year. We were trying to figure out where to go, what to do. And sounds crazy, but I often, like if I'm having a cup of coffee, I look at coaching jobs on my phone. That's just a hobby of mine, just to see what's out there. And Nichols came up. And we were thinking maybe of retiring in Buffalo because my husband had a job opportunity in the area. And I applied because why not? And my husband encouraged me. He's like, Steph, it's something you've always wanted to do. Even if it's part-time, we'll make it work. And I applied. I had a few interviews, and they offered me the position. And here I am coaching now at Nichols back in Western New York.
Back in Western New York.
Yep.
Tell me about coaching this group. So you've been there 1 year or had one season,
Yep.
right? So tell me about the group that you have right now and what this has been like for you this year.
Right. I came in late. I came in. We arrived in I would say September 1st. So I was hired as a part-time coach. And so I was teaching at Amherst Middle School for the month of September and also coaching the girls for that month, putting a lot of hours in. But I mean, I'll say right away, walking on campus and them showing me campus, I had heard of Nichols when I attended NU. There's just such great talent that's come out of there. If you think of girls hockey in Western New York, Nichols comes to mind. There's a long tradition of men's and girls and boys hockey at Nichols. I just remember walking on campus and people look at you in the eye and they shake your hand and they hold doors for you. And it's a beautiful campus with wonderful people and wonderful faculty. You can tell right away how important education is there. And I love that there's a rink right on campus, and the girls have their own locker room, and we're a college prep. It's these girls want to pursue, they have aspiration to play college hockey, and how lucky am I that I get to help them reach their goals, and that's even something is improving every day on the ice, improving and being better people, but also reaching out to colleges and taking them to tournaments and showcases to show off their wonderful skills. Mm-hmm. So.
Unfortunately, one place they can't show off their skills in the next level is Niagara. In 2012, they did shutter the women's hockey program. What was lost? Like, what was like what that had? I don't want to say what it was like for you, but what was that like for you when that happened?
I was living in England at the time, and I received an email from the athletic director, and of course, right away, all of us started messaging each other, and we had felt like we had lost someone. You almost feel like someone had passed away. It's such a big part of your life. It was such a big part of our lives. It's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that happened. I understand hockey is a very expensive sport. I understand all that, a lot of travel, the equipment, ice, everything. But it's, you saw so much progress, and we were the most successful team in the history of Niagara University, that 2002 season. And I do believe that we helped grow the sport in Western New York. And then all of a sudden, our Western New York girls don't have a school to go to in their area. We really want to keep the girls hockey in Western New York. We have a lot of talent here. I see it. I see it with my wonderful girls at Nichols, my talented players, and I also see it, when I go into rinks to just watch and see who's out there, and and that sort of thing. So it's really they have a wonderful program still. It's not Division I. But I love to see that there are still girls wearing the Purple Eagle jersey. I just wish it was still at that level.
Yeah. So. Well, like you mentioned, there's so much talent, hockey talent in Western New York. How have you, even just generally, seen the game evolve? Women's hockey opportunities have grown a lot. How has the game changed or has the game changed a little bit?
Absolutely. The game is so much faster. The girls are so skilled. I always joke because I I almost rather the girls show them how to do the drill than me, because I'm getting older. It's like I still have it, but I'm slow, you know. So yeah, they're just so skilled and so dedicated and in great shape and take care of their bodies, and you know, they're elite athletes. These teenagers, you know, I mean, I'm thinking about my players in particular, but you see it, you know, elsewhere. And when you go to these tournaments, when you go to Canada to play, we'll be in Boston in July. We went to high school nationals this year, and you play the Shattuck St. Mary's and the Lavelles, and you know. Yeah, it's definitely, the game is faster, and like you said, I just love that there's also so many more opportunities for the girls, and I also love that it hasn't become, it has, what I've noticed leaving North America and coming back, I feel that it's become much more business oriented. You know, it's year round. When I played hockey, you played soccer in the summer, you played a second sport, and I'm still a strong believer in that. Many of my girls play fall sports, they play spring sports. I encourage it. You know, we want them. We're an academic school where hockey is probably the reason they're at Nichols, but you know, we want them to be great students first of all, but we encourage them to play other sports. That's a wonderful thing, and it makes you a better hockey player, you know. So yeah, but the game has definitely changed. It is, you know, if you haven't been to a rink to see, you know, the national championships will be in Amherst, New York this year in March. Head over to the rink, the Northtown Center, and watch some of these girls. It's really fun to watch. These girls are very talented.
Yeah. And how have you seen like those opportunities that with the PWHL now? I think we were talking before we started recording. There's 3 Nichols alumni
that are playing in the PWHL,
playing the PWHL
right now.
Right now.
Yep. 2 Olympians.
Handful of Olympians there. So not just the opportunities, but also the publicity, like the press that they get. Have you seen that impact the next generation coming up?
I think the biggest thing is social media. You know, I mean, and I see that even with recruiting. You know, you really need to put out there, you know, where you're going to be this summer, and you know, the girls that, you know, you see it with college programs, even when you're trying to pick maybe tournaments to go to, you'll click on, you know, a university, and they'll say, we'll be at these events this summer. Well, you want to attend those events, and you know, if they're interested in a player, they'll come and watch. But you also want to attend some of those events, you know, also. But yeah, I think the biggest difference from when we played is the social media piece, and that's really where they're getting the media from. Right. You know, I mean, most young students are not reading the newspaper every day, but they'll be on Instagram and on the team pages and personal player, like, you know, player pages and things like that. Right.
Yeah. So that definitely, you know, impacts but they see what's possible too.
Correct. I think so. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So 2-part question. So what still frustrates you, or what frustrates you right now, or feels maybe limiting in women's hockey?
I've seen so much progression. Like there's so many positives that it's hard to, but I'll see little things. Like I'll walk into a rink and they'll have pictures of boys up and maybe not pictures of the girls, or so you'll still see, you know, things like that. And I'm just, you know, I'm always such a big supporter of the game and an advocate for the girls that maybe most people don't notice those things. But yeah, I think that it's definitely still out there where we're not totally equal, but we're getting there. And I encourage, you know, coaches and players to, I don't know if fight's the right word, but, you know, advocate for yourself, because, you know, if there's a boys program, the girls program should be the same. The girls are, you know, it's difficult. It's different in the girls' world because girls can go directly from high school into college to play right away. So, you know, so I don't know. I would just say, yes, we're still not there quite yet, but, you know, there's a lot of good, so many positives, but just keep fighting for yourself and keep, we just need to be even. Yeah. Needs to be the same.
And lastly, what has you most excited about girls and women's hockey in Western New York right now?
Oh gosh, there's just so much talent. It's so fun. It's what gets me most excited, I don't know. I love seeing like these girls that are from here, you know, at the Olympic level or playing in the PWHL or playing college hockey. For me, of course, I'm going to say that, you know, there's such great hockey in Western New York for the girls. And I think that one thing I'm really excited about being at Nichols is, I don't know if it's because I'm a female coach, but, you know, every year Nichols is pumping out last year we have 3 girls going to play college hockey. You know, this year. The year before that, 5. I mean, we are producing excellent hockey players here. So I would love for these Western New York girls to stay in Western New York for their high school. I don't want them going to an academy, you know, when they can get the same exposure and the same level here. But we have to provide that for them. But it's coming. The Buffalo Junior Sabres have a great girls hockey program. Eagles, you know, Amherst. I mean, if you think about it, Nichols is a little like I will talk to some girls that I'm recruiting, or they'll reach out to me interested in playing prep hockey. I spoke to one girl a couple of weeks ago. She called me from Newfoundland, and I said, "Well, are you already home from school?" It was maybe April. She said, "No, I do virtual learning. I virtual learn, so I go to school just during the hockey season." You know, well, so to me that's great, but you know, I think that education piece really needs to be number one. You know, so. And also, I mean, I had an opportunity to play prep school when I was that age, and I wasn't ready to move away from home yet. And we have such a short window with our children that I really hope that us great talent in Western New York, you know, we need to provide that for them. And I think we're getting there. Nichols is a great example. I mean, my girls are on the ice 5 days a week. We have a 55-game schedule. You know, it's top tier 1 hockey, you know, and we have other programs like that in the area. So we want to keep them here. You know,
homegrown, stay homegrown.
That's right. And I hope
yes.
other universities, you know, we have Buff State has a Division III program. You know, I would love to see a Canisius, or I would love to see Niagara go D1 again. Good. That would be wonderful.
I would.
You know.
Well, Steph, thank you so much. This has been great.